Hello and welcome to News, Games, and More. I'm Brian Altano. With me is Max Scoville.
Hey.
Jonathan Dornbush.
Why, hello there.
And birthday boy Zach Ryan.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Round of applause.
Happy afternoon to everyone.
Happy afternoon to everyone. Or night where you are. News, Games, and More is our weekly, daily, every single hour of every single second live show here on IGN. It's actually once a day, 4 p.m. Pacific time, where we go over all the breaking news of the day, of which this day had not a ton until like a little while ago. But we're going to make do of it anyway because there's a lot to talk about. First of all, if you've been watching the show for a few minutes now, you might have noticed this is our second introduction. We paused the show in the middle of that for all of us to take off our pantaloons.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm still wearing a bathing suit though. That's okay, right?
Do you always wear a bathing suit under your pants, or?
I usually wear a bathing suit around the house.
Max is actually wearing his entire clothes that he usually wears when he goes to the pool, which is a jean jacket and a shirt and then a bathing suit around the legs. Okay, Speaking of funny costumes, The Batman is a movie that was supposed to be getting made this year, but it's sort of similar to everything else in production right now. It is currently on hold. We were worried about this one, obviously, because any movie that was wrapped shooting in post-production or finished completely has a chance to show up on a streaming site, maybe get delayed or something like that. But this movie was legitimately in the middle of production. We had seen some test footage of Robert Pattinson in the Batman costume, and we saw some leaked shots of the stuntman driving a regular car with some stuff on it and wearing a very different costume that a lot of people weren't happy about.
Well, there's also the motorcycle as well. He's on a motorcycle too.
Exactly. The official Batman shot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so not a lot to work with right now. This is obviously a movie that our audience specifically, I know all of us are very excited about.
Definitely.
This is a character that's had a kind of rocky few years. This was originally supposed to be a Ben Affleck movie, and that fell apart for various reasons. And so now we're getting the Matt Reeves directed and written The Batman. He's the same dude that did the Planet of the Apes trilogy. Robert Pattinson, fresh off of a ton of awesome movies like Good Time and High Life and many
Lighthouse
more. Lighthouse, phenomenal film if you haven't seen that. I believe that is hitting Prime this weekend, so you should definitely watch that if you're looking for something that's even more bleak than Outside Times now.
That's about some people who are isolated, working from home, basically.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that if you're having trouble sleeping because you're very anxious in these weird times, go ahead and throw on The Lighthouse and it'll put you right to sleep. It'll do a real snooze in that film.
Zach didn't like that.
Right.
It has a lot of farts in it.
There are a lot of farts in that film. So what can we expect from the Batman? Possibly fart? Nobody knows.
Yeah, so early set reports say that it's harder to hear the farts in the Batman because on account of his rubber butt.
But also the Bane situation.
The big cape, because they come out of the rubber butt.
Yep.
He also uses the motorcycle to muffle a lot of the farts. So there's a lot going on in this movie. No, we're gonna have to wait a long time to find that out because director Matt Reeves said he may be eager to resume shooting the Batman. It's currently on hold right now because of the coronavirus pandemic, and they'll return to it when the time is right. But for now, he says there are bigger things that he and his team have to do to make our loved ones and people that we care about safe. He says the whole thing is quite surreal, and as much as we wanted to proceed, we wanted to make sure we were safe. Reeves said his film getting put on hold over a global pandemic in an interview with the New York Times. A thing that happened on this is actually the dialect coach on set, a man named Andrew Jack, actually passed away from coronavirus.
Jesus.
But they don't think it had anything to do with him getting in contact with other people on set. But this is basically this was a very famed and renowned acting coach, dialect coach who's been working on movies for years. As you guys have seen, this has been a very indiscriminate virus. It's pretty much attacking anything and anyone that it can. And so, our hearts go out to everybody involved in this. What do you think is going to happen with the production of this movie? Because while us as a sort of populace won't be rushing back to movie theaters anytime soon, and you can't make a Batman movie over Discord or Zoom unless it's specifically about his farts. I would watch that movie too. What do you think is going to happen with this movie? Do you think that this movie is going to benefit from a delay? Will they take more time to work on certain things? Are there parts of this that can be worked on with a skeleton crew from here on out?
I mean, I think what's going to happen in this movie is what's going to happen to any movie that's shooting right now and is delayed, right? Like the whole timeline, the whole Hollywood timeline is shifted back months, if not years, right? Like everybody's taking a step back to make sure that their productions are safe. But I don't necessarily know that that means that there's anything above or below the line production wise that's happening. Like, you know, it's interesting because I think this movie was early enough that it's not post-production woes that are slowing it down. This is like actual principal photography. So this movie could see like a pretty significant delay.
Yeah.
Do we know if they had... You can go. Go ahead.
Guys,
yeah. They only were pretty early in shooting. Like, granted, they were a few weeks in, but I think it's probably early enough that do they need to almost like do a full restart depending on how long the delay is? Like this movie, I think WB far and away above most of the movies they have stalled right now. They're going to make this movie happen. I think this one is like number one on their list to make sure it gets the treatment it deserves after they are allowed back to production to continue, especially because they gave Matt Reeves a lot of time. Like we had been hearing stories every few months that like, oh, they're pretty close to starting production. Oh, they're close to starting to find Batman. And they kept pushing because Reeves kept wanting to refine the script and they were still working on things. So I think this is a movie that they have let take as much time as they want, and they're going to continue doing that no matter what.
Well, if there's still script refinements that need to happen, like maybe this is a blessing, right? Like maybe this is a good.
So we'd heard sort of mumblings that this might be a trilogy. Like, has he signed on for a trilogy officially, or was that just sort of?
I think it was just reports and like what their plans were.
Okay, well, I mean, if that is the case, it would be kind of cool if this. I mean, we frequently do see this where movies get fast tracked. Star Wars, where it's like you have a trilogy planned, but you don't have it all ready to go at the same time. But if like Matt Reeves is going to be helming 3 Batman, this would be a pretty cool opportunity to basically really fine tune the hell out of the scripts. And I don't know, like, do we know if they'd filmed anything at all aside from the stunt stuff, or was it still kind of pretty early on? Because I mean, it'd be nice if we got like some kind of a teaser to just hold us over.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure.
They were a few weeks in. I'd seen shots from several different locations, but I don't know to the extent of what the shooting was. Like, I have not heard about any of the other actors we know are involved being like heavily filmed or seen on set aside from maybe like 1 or 2 days. So I don't really know how far in they were on like actual scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also signing on for multiple movies doesn't always ensure a guarantee that you're getting a sequel. For example, I remember like Felicity Jones famously signed on for multiple movies for Star Wars, and then died in Rogue One. But who knows? Maybe we'll get a prequel someday. That said, I don't think the Batman's going to die in the Batman. That would be a weird flex, but we'll see what happens. In the meantime, director Matt Reeves has been doing interviews like a lot of directors and celebrities have, because they're doing what we're all doing, which is just sitting at home, just sad and scared and stuff. And so they're doing a lot of, press because it's fun. So he spoke with Nerdist. I guess they asked him, like, what were some of your favorite Batman movies ever? And I actually really, really love his answers because it's pretty much the same ones as mine. He said, of course, Batman Returns. He said, what Tim Burton did was really singular, and Catwoman actress Michelle Pfeiffer. I love Batman Returns. Michelle Pfeiffer was incredible. I love it. I love it so much. It's so incredible, and she's so incredible. He's getting really into this, like, Michelle Pfeiffer stuff. Like, I get it. I was a young, horny boy when that movie came out. That did strange things to my body. But he's making a movie with a Catwoman in it. He's got Zoe Kravitz playing the Catwoman. Mm-hmm. So
I think that like if you're gonna pick 2 Batman films of as your favorites, like he picked the right ones, right? Like Batman Returns is like such a weird turn for Batman, right? Like I think it's so dark and was so like legitimately comic booky at the time that it kind of shocked people, and I think that like it might be Tim Burton's best movie. It's definitely my favorite of his. Yeah,
I think so too. I watched it over Christmas break and I really loved it.
That's like the perfect balance between him having a budget and a good cast and like enough free reign to do cool stuff. Like I feel like when he had too much leeway, he was just he kind of just went wonky and did his own thing. But that's that sweet spot with him, like that. And
I totally agree. Mm-hmm. So Matt Reeves also said that I love the Penguin stuff when he's going down the sewers as baby. It's just like, wow, this is the beautiful thing about Tim Burton at his best in that way, that he's got that connection into the fantastical that feels very, very personal. I remember seeing Batman Returns in theaters, and that movie cold opens on Pee Wee Herman as the Penguin's dad, and they basically, you see this crib, and the doctor's like runs out of the room screaming, and then you see like the weird little hands, and they. Like Pee Wee Herman's got the monocle, and they just throw the baby into the river.
That's a weird movie.
Yeah, it's just cold and bleak, and it's nighttime in Gotham City in the winter, and it's like honestly like legitimately scary as a little kid to see that. And so it makes me happy that he's tapping into that kind of level of stuff as his favorite, because that's the kind of stuff I want to see in a Batman movie. Let's see. He also said he singled out Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight as incredible and Heath Ledger's indelible interpretation of the Joker, but Reeves particularly responded to the film's profound message about the terrifying and nihilistic aspects of human nature that Ledger's Joker represents. I like that too. I don't really know how something like that could translate to the villain sort of rogues gallery that he has lined up for his movie, because right now he has a Riddler, he has a Catwoman, and he has a
Penguin, yeah.
Am I correct? Am I missing anyone?
I don't think so.
No, that's the
pretty stacked.
Wait, who's playing who in that lineup?
Paul Dano is the Riddler. Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman, and it's Colin Firth, I believe, is the Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Colin Firth. I didn't hear that one.
Is it Colin Firth? Colin Farrell.
No, Farrell. God, I always get them confused.
Oh, Colin Quinn.
That would be really funny, though.
Colin Quinn.
Okay, I was doing. Colin Firth could also totally work as the Penguin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Colin Quinn could work as the Penguin too.
I think it really depends on what I'm excited with Matt Reeves in particular taking this on is I do think he will make it pretty Batman centric. And like the thing I'd argue is, as much as I've loved a lot of like obviously Nolan's trilogy and a lot of Batman movies in general throughout time, Batman is often the least interesting part of them. Like it often comes down to the villains and Gotham and everything around Batman. And I think Reeves probably, based on his past storytelling pedigree, will probably tell a pretty interesting Batman-focused story. And I'm excited to see what perspective he puts on that character. And I think probably the villain choices he's making will relate to whatever story he wants to be telling with Batman, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, that's such a good way of putting it. I always sort of interpret the Batman films as like there's three things that they have to hit, and it's Bruce Wayne, it's Batman, and it's the villains. And there are some Batman movies that have like an awesome Bruce Wayne and great villains, but like I'm not crazy about the Batman. And I feel like they've gotten, like if you look at Batman versus Superman, like I actually like Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne a lot. I'm not crazy about that Batman costume and like the actual stuff they have him doing. And I literally don't remember the villain. So
yeah, that's a good point.
I mean,
Apocalypse.
I'm excited to see what happens with this, because from everything we've heard is it doesn't sound like they're trying to tie it in any type of cinematic universe. I feel like the DCEU is long gone. If it comes back in any form, it's going to be heavily retconned and rebooted. But I think I think that DC properties work better as standalone things, and obviously you can have stuff like the Justice League, and you can have big crossover events, but individual characters are sort of so disparate in their own ways, and to have a Batman movie that is just a Batman movie, not trying to set up a Justice League, not trying to build out this whole cinematic universe, that's something that I really want. And I feel like I loved Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was phenomenal, and I respect what Snyder was trying to do. But the problem coming into that was Man of Steel was trying to sort of follow the dark, gritty momentum that the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises set, and then BVS was trying to like eat the Avengers lunch, and it seemed like it was just kind of misdirection from day one, as opposed to being, what is this thing and how does it work? How do we make it look good?
So do we know? Yeah. Do we know if the Batman is a hard reset on the DCCU? Because I feel like it's getting to a point where it is. Yeah. We do know that? Okay.
Well, I mean, we know that it's a new Batman. We don't know. I mean, like, they're still doing, obviously Birds of Prey was the Harley Quinn we knew. They're working on
Suicide Squad. Yeah, and then you also had Affleck's Batman in the first Suicide Squad, And then those, I don't know. Like, I feel like we're getting into like this weird alternate timeline with that cinematic universe where it's like some of the movies are connected, some of them aren't. I don't know. I feel like
it's Elseworlds, man. It's great. It's like there are infinite Earths. Why limit it to one?
Yeah, that's fair. I did want to ask Chat what their favorite Batman movie. I think we could probably guess, but Chat, if you're watching, if you're paying attention, what's your favorite Batman movie? Let us know.
Yeah, and also, what's your second favorite Batman movie? Because I think like everyone's gonna say The Dark Knight, and that's a phenomenal answer. But like, what's a secondary one? Because I think it's a lot harder to answer that for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's fair.
Zach, to get into a little bit of what you're asking me for, Reeves also said he loves the idea of exploring a Caped Crusader who's not yet fully formed, where there's something to do in this context who that guy would be in this world today, and to ground him in all of these broken ways, because at the end of the day, the guy is doing all of this to deal with trauma in his past. So I don't think they're going to allude that this is like a prequel to Ben Affleck's Batman. It's definitely difficult because like everyone here understands like Elseworlds, and we understand like, you know, standalone films and stuff like that. But like I remember like my dad went to go see Rogue One, and he was like, "Where's the ball robot?" I was like, "Well, it's not. Well, they're building a big ball robot, but that's different than the BB-8. But don't worry about it. Just eat the popcorn and go to bed."
The key difference, though, is there have been so many Batmans so far. There have been like it's mythology. Like it holds up to that kind of scrutiny. Like I think it's the same deal as like, oh, there's a new James Bond, there's a new Jason Bourne. Like, okay, I'll check that out. Like people are. Yeah.
We accepted 3 different Spider-Men in under 20 years. So
I was actually just thinking about that.
Especially with the love that I think people have for Batman as a character, and knowing that we've seen so many different iterations, I think people going into this will be okay if it doesn't nod to Steppenwolf and the mother boxes from Justice League. Like, I think people want a good Batman movie first, and then we can get to the other stuff.
I'm sorry, did you say mother boxes?
Yeah, the mother boxes.
Didn't you know about the mother boxes?
I mean, I remember that scene where they bond over the shared name of their mothers, but what are the boxes?
That's the MacGuffin in Justice League.
That was like the Lord of the Rings cube. It was like if they made the one ring, but it was cubes.
Yeah.
I barely remember that movie.
We got blackout drunk watching that, dude.
That's true.
I remember the sandwich we ate afterwards better than most of Justice League. So.
Place has good sandwiches, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So
shout out to Forchi for Forchi in the chat for bringing up Mask of the Phantasm as his Batman pick. That's a great Batman movie.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that movie in so long. Where is that movie now? Can you stream it on Prime, I imagine?
It's streaming somewhere. I forget where though. I feel like I've read it recently.
It got a big old Blu-ray remaster. I want to say they maybe included it with that animated series box set.
It is in the animated series box set.
Okay, so Brian, you already own it then, I think.
So I own it. Yeah. Yeah, Zach, I think you gave me the digital code for that. Mm-hmm. Good man. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Well, that was a very dark and gritty take on Batman. Batman, the animated series, is wonderful, and if you have all the time in the world, you should go watch it. But it won't be as dark and gritty as Cannibal Holocaust. Show of hands, how many people have seen this cult classic horror movie? Okay.
Nope.
I don't
Max,
know.
you haven't seen Cannibal Holocaust?
No, I know about it. I haven't just never got around to watching it.
Oh, wow. That's I feel like that's off brand for you.
I don't like Italian movies.
Almost said it.
All right.
Well, Max, you only started watching horror movies like 3 years ago because you were a big old child baby.
Yeah, that's true. But that's like that never seemed like something that would scare me. I was actually really into like B movies and cult classics and stuff, and like I think it was on my list at one point, but I just never got around to watching.
That's fair.
But anyway, it's getting a video game.
Yes, it's getting a video game sequel, which is very, very odd. The original movie is essentially like a mock documentary about a group of people that goes to do a film on a group of cannibals. And as you can imagine, they get eaten by the guys who like to eat the men. So it's not good. But a lot of people were very furious at this film when it first came out. It's It's basically a snuff film. It's hyper violent. It's disgusting. I think it's like sort of like a prototypical Blair Witch, where people were kind of like, "Is this real? Is this not?" Like they couldn't really tell.
It's somewhere between Blair Witch and like Hostel. Would you say like kind of gore porn meets found footage?
Yeah, which is interesting because didn't Eli Roth do Hostel?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and he also did Green Inferno a couple years ago, which is a straight up cannibal movie, which is essentially a modern version of Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah, I don't know. I watch a ton of horror movies, and most of them are not great, but I don't know what I'm doing with my life, so there it is. I would not really recommend that movie for anybody, but anybody who's just out of horror films. Either way, this is a movie that is now getting a sequel. It is coming to PS4, Xbox One, PC, select mobile devices, and Nintendo Switch, the number one platform to watch.
What a confusing thing to hear and read. Like,
I can't wait for it to show up in an indie showcase, like in a mix of all these.
Games.
Can we talk about how the trailer is just different parts of the same image?
Yeah.
It's not a trailer. It's just a pan and scan of a JPEG.
Yeah. I feel like they maybe could have kept that one in the oven for a little longer. Anyway, they say the game is an interactive horror graphic adventure and is being made in Unity with direction from Ruggiero Deodato. The player will take control of different characters to reveal little by little the background that led them to desperate expedition to the virgin jungles of Borneo. Did you guys play the Blair Witch game?
No.
So I did, and I think it nails the sort of disorientation that those films have, but not in a great way, because that's not really what you're looking for when you play a video game, especially one that you're controlling. So this might translate better to a graphic adventure, like a graphic novel, like sort of like a visual novel type of thing. I think that's better than like a first person game where like dudes are eating your legs.
Yeah, this feels like just kind of a cash in, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but it's not even like a thing that has any, like, it doesn't even, I don't know anybody who's like super excited about, these movies. Like there's people who,
That's the thing that's baffling to me is like, it very well could read as a cash in, but like, who's trying to cash in on that? Like, who's looking at this as a property that A, they feel like they want to make a game about, and B, who are the gamers out there that are like, oh, hell yeah, that Cannibal the Holocaust game that I've been looking forward to since the movie came out. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's very strange.
I think it's one of those things where somebody was sitting around at like sort of like an intellectual property yard sale, and they were like, what can we get on the cheap that we can convert to something? And the reality is even if you've never seen if you've never seen the movie, the name Cannibal Holocaust is awesome, and it feels like a metal band or something you would love to see on a shelf at GameStop and be like, yeah, I'm an angry big boy. I want to get a big weekend going with my 4XL cup of soda and my Cannibal video game. Like, it just sounds kind of badass. Like, it's like Gears of War or Doom, it's like, sounds like some cool stuff to do when you're home and you're dating.
I mean, it sounds like one of those made up video games that like moms are mad at in a cartoon show. Like, what is it, like what's the Bone Storm,
Joe Ertz points out on YouTube that he says, warning, real animals were killed to make this movie. Also, the actors signed a contract to not appear in anything for a year until after release to make it seem like the footage was real, which, if that's true, is pretty messed up. So that's what we're dealing with when we're talking about Cannibal Holocaust here.
Yeah.
I've actually, that feels like totally unheard of, because that's like, first of all, assuming that the film, could you imagine if they were like, hey, Spider-Man or Tobey Maguire after Spider-Man 3 or whatever, you can't do another movie for a year.
I'll be honest, I wish they did that with Avengers Endgame. I wish that they at very least kept the secret that they were going to make, Spider-Man home from Going Home or whatever that was called, and Black Panther 2. Because I walked out of like Infinity War and I know they're going to be back. They're going to be fine. It's okay,
Well, Max, I was going to say real quick, going by your logic, I think the best opportunity there would have been like you kill Iron Man in Avengers Endgame, Robert Downey Jr., spoilers, and then you relieve the Earth of Dr. Dolittle.
That would have been a good one.
Yeah,
I meant Infinity War, not Endgame, but it doesn't matter. It was a stupid thing to say anyway. So
I liked
be
it.
quiet
I
over
thought
here.
it was good. I think one thing that we should point out is that after Spider-Man 3 was made, Tobey Maguire didn't make a movie for several years.
That is true. I actually was trying to deliberately conjure the worst possible example, and I missed.
Yeah, well done.
Anyway, speaking of creatures that killed their own versions of themselves, speaking of cannibal animals, Pokemon Sword and Shield ranked match disconnects could now get you permanently banned. People have been asking this for a while. This is a very controversial story right now because a lot of people are basically disconnecting in ranked matches of Pokemon Sword and Shield. And for the longest time, there was literally no repercussions to that. And so people were popping off everywhere being like, why am I playing this game? Like, this is just like awarding cheaters constantly. And so now these guys are being permanently banned, which a large portion of the audience is happy about and a smaller portion is very, very furious about. How do you guys feel about this?
Oh, I don't give a shit. I don't care about competitive Pokemon.
It's your birthday. It's okay to not care about competitive Pokemon on your birthday, Zach. You're allowed one day a year to not care about this important.
I do think it's interesting. You know, the Pokemon World Championships have been moved this year due to coronavirus. So it's nice that they're still watching what the competitive scene looks like and making change in accordance to that. I just like. The competitive Pokemon scene, I shouldn't say that I don't care because I do. But the competitive Pokemon scene is so foreign to me. I've always like in the times that I've played a Pokemon game, I play until I roll the credits and then I'm like, okay, I did it again. I beat all those pocket monsters. Great work.
Did they detail if this is like a 3 strikes rule or like what the sort of circumstances have to be? Because I feel bad for anybody who, crappy internet and they just get disconnected for organic reasons.
Yeah, so their wording on this is after repeated disconnects from online battles, players will be excluded from any future ranked battles and competitions live or online. It goes on to say that the company may go on to temporarily or permanently ban offenders too. In the future, it concludes, we will continue to monitor and continue to respond to malicious operations and inconveniences caused by intentional internet disconnections so that players can enjoy the game with peace of mind. So they don't actually know the difference. I mean, there's no real way of knowing the difference between like an intentional disconnect and an accidental one. Like, I don't know, everybody's using the internet more than ever right now, so like stuff happens, but I have a feeling they'll be sort of lenient. Like, I feel like if you're abusing this constantly, there's only so many times before you have to call Comcast and yell.
I'm sure there's some way they can track that. Like if they can keep an eye on your bandwidth or like how steady your connection is, as opposed to just being like, oh, you just quit out entirely. That's odd.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this is good news for people that play competitive Pokemon. Like Zach, I have literal no real understanding of that whole world. I'm happy for you boys and girls out there.
For a long time, you had a serious allergy to the pocket monsters, so you stayed pretty clear of them.
Mm-hmm. It's actually, they did a study on that. It's not actually the allergy to the pocket monsters themselves. It's the pocket lint that gets attached to them when they're in the pocket. And it's in the dander too. That's also it.
That makes a lot of sense.
I got a bone to pick with those Pokemon.
Okay, go on.
So I thought that they had toys of every single one of those Pokemon at the Pokemon Center stores in Japan and other parts of the world.
Okay.
And I went to the Pokemon Center in Japan, and they only had those like popular cute ones that everyone likes. And I wanted Garbodor. I wanted a toy of a pile of garbage with cigarette butts for fingers, and they didn't have any Garbodors. They didn't have anything for that. I looked for all sorts of the ugly ones. They didn't have the chandelier. They didn't have any of the goth women. They didn't have any of the weird reject Pokemon that I liked from Generation, which is the last one I got really into. They didn't have that scraggy guy who has his pants pulled down. They didn't have any of like the awful ones, and they only had like the popular ones.
That seems like a really tough time for you, Max.
Yeah.
Very cross.
They did have this one, which is a great Pokemon. This is Ricky Rat, and he's Gen 1. He was a really good guy, and he was there. But Max, if you want the Garbodor Pokemon, you have to go behind the Pokemon store into the trash. make it yourself.
You know how
Easy to
clean it
find
is
them
in
there.
Japan. They don't throw out trash. They like organize it carefully, and then for like a truck to come by once a year and put it in the special bin.
That is true.
I did want to highlight something pretty important that I'm seeing in chat, and I just wanted to bring it to you guys and get your opinion on this. Cyberthug 1080 says, because the man could try to own the day, but we definitely going to own the night show.
What?
Yeah,
What?
that's what's going on over there. I just wanted to let you guys know. So,
All right. I mean, that's
Can we just give a shout out to Cyberthug 1080 for being just a really
time out.
sick
I
username?
want to point out that his username is Cyberthug1080i. So he's very into interlacing.
Damn!
I know. It's good work, Cyberthug. You're doing
By
the
the way,
Lord's work over there.
Have you guys seen those screen caps going around of the 4K remaster of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a movie that was shot entirely in 1080p? And
No.
looked at that. Yeah, not good.
Does it look ass? Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's already like a not great film, but...
Wait, you mean Attack of the Clones?
No, The Phantom Menace.
That was shot on film, though.
But they basically only have a 1080p version of that film to work.
Wait, so they only... Ooh, okay.
So it looks like it looks like a PS2 cutscene.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like a PS2 cutscene back then. We just didn't know.
I know. I don't have a segue for that to this, so we'll get through this next story real quick. I did from the Pokemon thing, but I blew it, you boys.
Okay.
Speaking of exotic animals that crazy people collect, it's the Tiger King. He's back in the news once again. Now Rob Lowe from TV's Community and
Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. There we go.
Yeah.
And a bunch of stuff, and also from a lot of yachts. If you did cocaine in the 80s, you probably know. Rob Lowe was in early talks to play the Tiger King, Joe Exotic, in a film adaptation. Joe was originally interviewed in jail a few days ago. Happy birthday, Zach.
That's one of the funniest things you've ever said. Oh, my God.
And Joe Exotic said he wanted David Spade or Brad Pitt to play him, and I feel like his wish came true, because if you take a little bit of David Spade and a little bit of Brad Pitt and you put them together, you get Rob Lowe.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that David Spade would have been like obviously the perfect character to play Joe Exotic.
I agree.
I mean, it might have been a little too close to Joe Dirt, but man, Brad Pitt is obviously a pipe dream. Rob Lowe seems like too clean cut a dude to play this character. I don't know if you guys have watched the Tiger King documentary. It is really something.
Is my video better now?
Yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you know what Rob Lowe is famous for before Austin Powers, the Spy Who Shagged Me, correct?
Cocaine.
Before, after the cocaine, but before The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Wasn't there a sex scandal
There
in
was
there
a
somewhere?
sex tape that was released immediately before the Democratic convention while he was campaigning for Michael Dukakis, and they were like, hey, here's one of your campaigners who's in a sex tape with a 16-year-old. And so he was kind of like whoop, for quite a while.
You know, there was a kid that I knew from my hometown that we constantly called Dukakis because he looked like him, and then we found out,
That's an unfortunate look for a kid.
I know it is.
Yeah.
And he found out that he was actually related to him.
Oh.
So,
man,
we're 23
A plus at nicknames for this guy over here.
Hey, what about who's the dude? Oh God, I always forget his name. Danny McBride. I feel like Danny McBride would be a good choice for a Tiger King too. Why is nobody talking to him about this?
He has to play the guy that has like 7 wives.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he sort of already did that in Righteous Gemstones, I guess.
Yeah. Oh God, that show is so good.
Yeah.
You guys are sleeping on Rob Lowe's best role by far, which is Tommy Boy.
I don't remember him in Tommy Boy.
Oh, he played like the awful brother that is actually not a brother. He plays Bo Derek's brother, who's actually Bo Derek's boyfriend, and they're trying to steal all the money from Tommy's family.
Oh yeah.
You just spoiled Tommy Boy.
That's okay. There's a statute of limitations on those kind of films.
That is true. Any more thoughts on Rob Lowe?
I was gonna say he's very good in Parks and Rec. He's very funny in that show.
He is very good in Parks and Rec.
He's also like Go ahead, Jonathan.
I was going to say, if you haven't watched it, I think it's still on Netflix, but you should watch The Grinder, which was a one-season show that got canceled on Fox, but it was about him playing an actor who was playing a lawyer on TV who loses his job and then has to go work in his hometown for his family's law firm.
Oh, interesting.
It's actually really funny and very meta.
Where did you live, Jonathan?
Sorry?
Where did you grow up?
Long Island.
What did you guys call big sandwiches there?
Subs?
Subs? Yeah, same. We called them subs, sometimes heroes. I've also heard hoagies, but I've also heard grinders.
Grinders.
We called them grinders up in Connecticut.
Okay. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we call them subs in California.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's like that. Max, you came from Connecticut. I came from New Jersey. Jonathan, you came from Long Island. We're very close, and we all had different names. And then I feel like
tri-state area.
Yeah, the tri-state area. We all fought over what we would call those things. Anyway, I just thought that was a fun, nice, sweet thing to put out there at the end of our Rob Lowe conversation.
William Creates over on chat here asks an important question that I wanted to put out to you guys. Why do toasters have so many settings? The temperature, ingredient, moisture level, and thickness of bagels, waffles, and brown bread food are simply different. So, can you got any thoughts on that?
I've been getting really into bagels recently because I'm
okay. Are you making your own bagels? This seems like the time to do that.
I have before, and I will again. But I have recently. I've been supporting a place.
That sounded like a threat.
That's a threat to my own body. No, there's a place in San Francisco called House of Bagels that makes like awesome like East Coast style bagels, and I'll go in there and get like a baker's dozen, which is 13. As you all know, and freeze some of them, but cook the rest over a long period of time. And there's a bagel button on my toast, and it's not enough.
It doesn't toast them enough.
No, so you got to pop it down there, do the bagel button, and then you have to just do a regular button for like half of the side, and then it gets it perfect. So yeah, it's difficult. It's very hard to get that right. It's one of the big struggles. Toasters.
What do you guys think about toaster ovens?
I'm a big toaster oven advocate. I prefer a toaster oven to a toaster.
Never had one.
I've never had one either.
That's a top 10. That's a top 10 appliance for sure.
I mean,
you think so?
Brian, before the air fryer, I would say you should get one. But honestly, like it's kind of redundant. But I don't have a toaster. The cool thing is they're really good for heating. Like they're good for heating stuff up in that like you don't want to get it soggy like a microwave, but you don't want to like turn on the whole friggin' oven and like in Grandma's Boy.
Max, have you ever tried to melt cheese on something in an air fryer?
I don't know.
Don't, because it pumps in so much fast, hot air that it takes a slice of cheese off the top of the burger and it just goes whoop and sticks it to the wall. So don't do that.
That's a good PSA.
Yeah.
If anyone can do a segue to this next story, I will get you a present when we're allowed to.
What's the next story?
I had a
Lego Mandalorian content coming to Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound as yummy as a nice warm cup of broth would, like Baby Yoda drank in that episode.
There it is.
I was gonna say that those blocks of Swiss cheese aren't the only blocks with holes in them. There's another kind of block. It's a Lego brick, and that's the.
So I think this is a weird fit because the Skywalker saga is about the Skywalker films. What's the Mandalorian doing?
So exactly, money, baby. That's what it comes down to. Let's backtrack real quick. We got a box art for a Lego set today, which was the Mandalorian's Razor Crest ship with a Baby Yoda and the ramp and everything like that. And there's a little icon in the box that says that you can unlock this in the Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which is different than the Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, which is probably the one you guys played a couple years ago. Jonathan, you reached out to Warner Brothers and asked some questions about what's going on with this. So let us know, because I texted this to Max and former IGN editor Mitch Dyer this morning because I was very excited about this story. So break it down.
Yeah, so this box art appeared. It's on the official LEGO site. Like, this is an officially sanctioned thing, but WB Games didn't make an announcement about it, and neither did LEGO, so it just kind of seemed to slip out there. So yeah, right now, as we know it, essentially you will buy the real-life LEGO set, and then you'll get a code to buy it or get it in the game. Excuse me, my dog now wants to bark at me. He's very upset about this opportunity for LEGO. So we reached out to them and asked for a little bit more information. And so essentially how it works is the code will just unlock the ship. I asked if it unlocked the minifigs that are included in the set as well. It is just the ship, so Loki. It's just the ship.
Mad about this.
I'm really upset about this. So hopefully Baby Yoda is in the game itself, and you don't have to buy him separately. We also asked them essentially, will other LEGO sets have this integration? There will be, but they didn't specify which. So probably expect future LEGO sets either this fall or maybe later this early next year that will also let you unlock ships in the game. Interestingly, I asked them, will you be able to unlock the ship like in game, or is this like a fast track sort of thing? You get a code and you unlock it, or will you be able to buy it as DLC? Right now, it is only available to get through this code.
Oh, interesting.
At least for the plans right now. I wouldn't be shocked if this is one of those things where it's like 6 months from now or 6 months from when the game launches, you can buy it. But at least at launch, it seems you will just be able to get it by buying this real life LEGO set.
Right.
And then last but not least, so the LEGO set comes out September 1st. We don't have a release date for this game. So I was like, do you guys have a release date to announce? Like, is this set coming out before the game or after the game? And they're like, we have nothing new to announce. So right now it is still just a game set to come out in 2020.
Okay. Jonathan, a lot of people in chat want you to show the dog. Can you show the
dog?
Show the dog, yeah.
Yeah.
Whip it out.
Dog.
Here's the dog.
Yeah. There he is.
He's a cute ass dog.
That is a cute ass dog.
I think he has a. I think he has like an evil heart, but I think he's cute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you named him after the god of mischief, so like.
We knew what we were getting.
Loves a good mess around.
He does.
Yeah.
A realistic wave. Anyway, yeah. So,
I have a good dog here too. This is a good dog right here. Yeah, so we haven't heard about this game since E3 of last year. For some insider baseball, the trailer for this game, I believe, was one of our most popular pieces of content across E3 period. And so, like, bear in mind that was before our entire audience had seen Star Wars Episode 9. Or The Mandalorian, which is really great for that matter. These guys have gone completely radio silent since then.
I think that was the fact that tracked so well was a weird perfect storm of like just search term algorithm magic, where it was Star Wars Episode 9, it was Lego, which always they're like weird like YouTube kids centric stuff that always gets scooped up, and a bunch of like Lego cartoons. It was also an E3 announcement. It was a gameplay trailer. Like it was just kind of like this, mishmash of like really good buzzwords that just happen to be all in one place. And
it's a really interesting game too, because like as Brian was alluding to, we have had Lego Star Wars entries before. We had the Complete Saga, which was a compilation of all of those. We had a Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, but there was no Last Jedi and then no Rise of Skywalker. So I think a lot of us were waiting for another entry, especially because this sort of kicked off like the modern era of really popular Lego games. And this is
totally.
a really big, fully featured, open space, like multiple planets that you'll be traveling to. Really big, ambitious sounding game, but they only showed a demo behind closed doors with that trailer they put out.
I wonder if this is the last hurrah for this, because like I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, because it's published, like the Lego games are published by WB Games, who is direct competitors with Disney. EA has the Star Wars license, but the Lego Star Wars license has been kind of in another place. Actual Star Wars Lego sets are a non-issue because Lego is sort of independent from all that. But like, I keep being sort of shocked that we do see, we saw some Lego Marvel stuff. Lego Marvel Superheroes 1 had all sorts of like X-Men and, like Spider-Man and a bunch of like sort of non-MCU characters in it. And then Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 stripped them all out, and you could kind of tell that it was like that was Disney being like, let's get the Fox stuff out of there, which was a pain in the ass. Yeah,
a lot like Marvel vs. Capcom. Now I'm totally with you. I'm actually fascinated as to where the Star Wars video game license goes in general. If you had asked me, 9 months ago, I would have been like, split it up. But then Fallen Order came out, and I'm like, I want more of that. So I do hope that they reach some sort of agreement where we can keep getting Lego games. Because I would love a full-on like Lego Mandalorian video game. And I want a Fallen Order too. One of the interesting things about Fallen Order that reminded me of this story is that game had basically no paid DLC, none of the icky stuff that Battlefront 2 had. And it had a couple of pre-order exclusive bonuses, like the orange lightsaber. Which they then unlocked later on for everybody for free. And so I do hope that they carry that cadence here. And if this is exclusively timed to like an actual physical purchase of a Lego set that you have to buy, that like 3 months goes by and they go, oh, everyone gets the Razor Crest now. I think that would be super cool.
That'd be cool.
Because right now it's $130 DLC essentially.
I am shocked that Lego didn't do this sooner with any of their games. Because we had
actually pretty surprising.
We had Lego Dimensions, which was their Toys to Life thing, which came and went sadly. But like for all of the crossover things where there's the video game of it and then there's the Lego set of it, it's like we've had Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean, numerous Star Wars, plenty of Marvel stuff. Like it's shocking that it's taken this long for them to be like, yeah, free DLC in the box, go for it,
Yeah, I think that and Zach, I talked about this a little bit on Nintendo Voice Chat this week, but the which you all should go listen to after this, the Toys to Life craze kind of died such a dark death that maybe companies were pretty skittish about that kind of stuff. But I agree, Max. Like it's kind of like a chicken and egg thing. But I do like the idea of like buying a toy set and getting a video game bonus or vice versa.
If I had to guess, I would say that choice was on Lego's end as opposed to like the game side, because they're kind of historically a lot like Nintendo in that they're like, our stuff is never on clearance, it's never on sale. Like you don't devalue Lego set, and I can see them not wanting to be like, oh, this is like a limited time offer that's cheap. We don't want that on our Lego set box. Like don't have a tied in promotion. That kind of sullies the image of it. But their more recent, one of their more recent lines is this whole like, app-enabled augmented reality series that they made, which is like, it's like a Ghostbusters thing where you build like a house and then you look at it with your phone and a bunch of ghosts appear or something.
Right.
So like, I wonder if that kind of made people loosen up about it and they were like, yeah, people weren't mad about that. So let's try it with Star Wars or whatever.
Yeah,
Max, cool. The thing you said about Legos never sort of dropping in price or anything made me realize perfect a partnership that is with Nintendo. Despite the fact that I'm not really crazy about the result of what we got, Nintendo's philosophy is the exact same way with their core first-party products of just like almost never dropping the price unless there's like a significant reason to do that, like a player's choice line or something like that. Anyway. Yeah, what were you going to say?
It's funny how perfect those two companies are together. And I had interviewed one of the lead producers behind that Lego Mario project that's been going on. They've been working on that for 4 years. Like that is the thing that you can kind of see the philosophies of both companies coming to a head of like, they want to get something right and put out something that they see as truly valuable, whether or not like it's for you or for me, or obviously for a younger audience. They very clearly were like, we want to get this right when we put it out.
Right.
4 years, and that's what it looks like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to innovate. They want to do something that doesn't, it's not Lego doing a Mario cover and it's not Mario doing a Lego cover, that I totally get that.
Yeah,
I wish it was though.
Yeah.
I hope that when this comes out and they kind of get to be like, it's our new Lego Mindstorms that's integrated with Mario or whatever, that they get that out of the way and then we get some F-wording Lego Zelda sets like we all want,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Anyway, we talked a little bit about The Mandalorian. Mandalorian is I would say like the best original thing on Disney Plus, probably by far. It's a little rocky, but it's still pretty good. Disney Plus.
The musical, the series.
Agree to disagree. The musical series. Disney Plus has announced that they have surpassed 50 million paid subscribers in just a few months. This is honestly pretty staggering. This is a gigantic number. Netflix has, I dug into this, around 170 million paid subscribers. That was as of the end of last year. I don't know if that's gone up or down since coronavirus and more people are home watching. Whereas HBO Now only has 8 million. And that's a little more rocky because there's also HBO Go, and then the traditional HBO cable subscription, which thousands of parents and people who still subscribe to cable have. These numbers are pretty amazing considering. Some people are getting free subscriptions, obviously, through stuff like Verizon phone memberships, but also people like me signed on for a year, which I think is like a really nice way of just sort of like paying once and not thinking about it. Every time I see my Netflix bill for $15 a month or my Hulu bill, I have to stop and go like, wait, what did I watch? Was it worth all that? How do you guys feel about Disney Plus now that we're like 6, 7, 8 months into it?
My plan with Disney Plus was, to be honest, like I was going to watch The Mandalorian and then probably cancel it until The Mandalorian season 2 came around. But I think that I've found like more and more stuff to watch the longer it's up. Like right now I'm finishing up a watch of The Clone Wars, which I've never seen before. And it has every season of The Simpsons ever. And, there's just like the deeper I dig into it, the more it's like, okay, well, maybe I should hang on to this because there's a lot of good stuff in here. And also High School Musical, the series, which is, whatever.
Very good. How dare you? For me, I've been watching quite a bit of it. I've been doing actually a Clone Wars watch for the first time too, and then we're going to move on to Rebels. So having all that stuff in like one centralized place, given the like weird production history of that show, is really great to have. I always knew going into Disney Plus that it was going to be sparse early on. Like it was really going to be a library service. Like the historical stuff was going to be the big selling point at first, and then over time with new Star Wars shows and new Marvel shows and all of that, it would be worth the value. But obviously we'll see how that shifts given coronavirus impact on production. But I'm not unhappy with it. I definitely am using it worth the money's worth, I'd say.
Yeah, same. I feel the same way.
I had a weird thing with it where I like obviously The Mandalorian I think is I wouldn't say it's my favorite show ever, but it definitely feels like one of those things I never thought would exist. Like I have my Boba Fett behind me, and that's just one of the Boba Fett things, and like I've got some of my dolls here, but like that was so just like the weird corner of Star Wars that I wanted to see for so long, and they made it, and I was just like, the fact that it was, Disney Plus it's what, like it's $6, $7, $5 a month depending on what you do, or if you bought it in a lump sum it was cheaper. Like I bought some lump sum thing and it was like, I don't know, like you look at how much it costs to go see a Star Wars movie opening night, with a significant other, with dinner and cabs and shit involved with that. And and then you factor that with like the amount of times I'll be drunk and I'm like, I need to watch The Rescuers Down Under. We have to rent it. What? And it's like, it became like sort of like, yeah, I can eat the cost of that. And like, I haven't been using it regularly, but then occasionally I'll get hammered and go on there and be like, the cat from Mars, get out of town.
Yeah, or like Flight of the Navigator. No, I'm in the same boat. I over Thanksgiving break, I think I watched 8 or 9 of like the animated classics on that app. Like just like some of the most iconic, animated Disney movies of all time, and they keep adding more stuff that I'm like less interested in, such as like the live action Aladdin or the Lion King, which I guess I'll get around to watching eventually.
One of those movies is good and one of those movies is bad. I'll let you be the judge of which is which.
You know what's on there, Brian?
What?
Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch Avatar.
So I'm going to call Disney Plus and cancel
James Cameron's Avatar.
No,
it also has the really, really good DuckTales reboot series, which is
that is true, and I owe myself a watch of that. Clone Wars has been my go-to show like while I'm like cooking for the week, and so that's been really fun to just kind of watch on my phone while I'm like chopping up chickens and shit. I mean, they're already I already bought. They're not live. I didn't bring and I'm choking the chickens in the mic.
Oh my! You know what's on there that everyone should go watch just because it completely just makes a mockery of Disney's entire empire is Steamboat Willie, which is like that opens with just a man chewing tobacco and spitting it into his own face, and then it turns into like 6.5 minutes of musical animal cruelty.
Yeah. If you think about how the entire Disney empire was built on the stilts of this 7-minute incredibly abusive short. It is one of the most fascinating histories of a company probably ever. I mean, I don't think you can look at a large company of that magnitude and trace things back to like a rat and I think a cow man just herding animals on a boat for 7 minutes.
Like that's like up there with Nintendo making playing cards in the Meiji era, or like Sony making a defective rice cooker in a bombed out building after World War II. Like, that's where that all comes from. It's like, from humble beginnings or what have you.
I totally agree. I want to get into one more story before we wrap up for the day. This is a really interesting one. Obsidian, who is making a game called Grounded, which when it was first revealed, disappointed a lot of people because Grounded is basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the multiplayer game. It's about a bunch of kids that go into a backyard and they're tiny and everything's gigantic. For me, I thought this looked cool as hell, but I'm also like not really like chomping at the bit for their next big open world RPG shaped thing. I'm cool with one of their sort of smaller teams working on some stuff like this. One of the key elements of being shrunk in a backyard is battling bugs that are 50 times your size. And while that's fun for a lot of people really hate a specific bug, which is the spider. And they announced in a Q&A that they're making basically or attempting to develop an anti-arachnophobia setting, which will allow you to swap out the giant spiders in the game with an indeterminate enemy bug shaped object. And that when you play online with friends, if they have spiders in their game, you won't see them in yours. 30% of the US population does not like spiders. They are afraid of them. One of those people is Max. He does not like the spider. Despite the fact he's killed them in Bloodborne, which I'm very proud of you for doing.
I didn't like Rom. Rom I was actually fine with. Rom's little baby children that ran around were kind of gross, but like
I didn't like all the spider boys in the chapel at the end either.
That gives me a little bit of the shivers, but like for the most part, I do better with spiders in games than I do with spiders in the bathroom. The spider in Skyrim that you have to fight, I mostly hate that first one, the frost spider in the Rivendell or whatever that stupid first mission is with the claw.
We were in a meeting earlier today where we were talking about Farpoint, and that's a VR game with giant like alien spiders in it.
The spider size is a big thing to do with it, because like if the spider is the size of a dog, it's upsetting to me. But if it's the size of like a house, I'm like, that's stupid, and I'll shoot at it.
Okay.
I will wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, and I'll be like, "Oh, you're awake. Oh, that's good." It would be a pity if you started thinking about Goliath bird-eating spiders at this very moment, and then I'll be like, "Oh, they're probably very large. Oh, they're so big, and they're real too." And then I just get upset and I stay awake too much. But
how do you guys feel about this mode? Because I think it's
nice.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they put it in there because, like, if people are like, I think we've all seen it on Twitter where people react like, "Hey, what the hell? Why would you post this weird video about spiders?" Especially if you follow Bill Trennan. But I think it's nice that they allow people to circumvent that by just opting in on a different mode.
No, it's nice. I hope that whatever it is they swap it out with is just janky as all hell.
The game itself looks pretty janky. So.
There was a mod for Skyrim that someone made that was specifically for arachnophobes, because again, you meet spiders just early on in that game, and it's like, hey, welcome to Skyrim, haha, F you. But somebody just swapped out the spiders with bears, but they didn't re-rig the animation, so they were just like static. They like the bears don't have a T-pose because they're not like anthropomorphic, but they have like I would call it like an M pose, where they just have all four legs on the ground and they're just staring straight ahead. And so like they just had that sort of map to like the center of gravity of the spider. So the spider would be like, and the bear would just be like, just rigid and upright. Like if you were just fighting like like an animatronic bear or something. It was definitely not scary. It was stupid and I liked it. So
yeah, no, I'm into it. What do you guys think that they should replace the spiders with? Should it be bears? I guess the bears would be really small.
They'd have to be, they'd have to be tiny bears. But I don't know, just put other bugs in there.
How big? Like, how big are they supposed to be? You're small. They're not big spiders. They're just like regular.
They're regular size spiders.
Yeah.
They're regular, but they are big to you.
What the hell is the size of a spider? Coins?
A shitty mouse.
Yeah. That's a big spider, dude.
Great. Good work, everybody. I think we did a good show today. Some people are calling it the show of the year.
Thanks, Brian.
That I haven't read. Before we wrap up, Max did a very nice thing for me. It was my birthday a few weeks ago, and he made me a birthday cake. I got to blow out the candles, and I wanted to do something nice for Zach, and I realized I don't have a cake at all. Like
that's okay.
I don't even have like a cookie, but I do have a hamburger bun. And so get this going here. I do have a hamburger bun. So this is the happy.
Oh boy,
Zach Ryan, my good dear friend, the happy birthday hamburger bun, and this I've never done this before. It's a number one from my daughter's birthday.
I was gonna say, is that your daughter's old candle?
Yes.
Am I supposed to blow this out?
Yeah, you're supposed to blow this out.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I did such a good job. All right. Great. Thanks, guys.
I want to point out there's nothing. I don't even have a hamburger in there.
Don't show the wish. You can't reveal it or it won't come true.
I wish for more hamburger.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's News, Games, and More. Go on social media and wish a happy version of birthday to Zach Ryan using your favorite bread that you have. Show him some good bread or some buns that you have. That could get dangerous. And thank you to Jonathan Dornbush, Zach Ryan, Max Scoville, and Alexia for producing the show, and to all of you for listening and watching and having a great time with us. News, Games, and More debuts every day at 4 p.m. Every single weekday it is. On Saturdays and Sundays we take off. And thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow we'll be doing another episode, and right after that we'll be doing Up at Noon if you want more shenanigans with Max and I. So stick around for that. Any last words, fellas?
I got a special treat for you, Zach.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's a nude panda.
Dang, a red panda nonetheless. It's one of my favorite animals.
It's what they're going to replace the spiders with.
That sounds great.
That's awful.
Cool. Yeah. Zach,
bye, y'all.
Go have a good night and happy birthday.
See ya.
Bye, boys.
Bye.